It's a thrilling moment when you meet a writer whose works have been a part of your staple diet in school and college. This is that thrilling moment for me. It's an absolute pleasure to meet you, Lord Jeffrey Archer. But of course, I didn't stop with reading your books in school and college. I've continued reading every new one, and Only Time Will Tell is his latest, and I finished it overnight.
Ah, because it only came out a couple of days ago.
No, because they sent it to me, the publisher sent it to me, so I had an advantage. Well, author of 15 bestsellers, this is his 16th, 7 collection of short stories, 3 plays, 2 screenplays, 3 volumes of the Prison Diaries. Lord Jeffrey Archer is on an India tour to launch his latest book. This is a very pacey, racy book with a very engrossing human drama at the center of it all. It begins in 1919 with Harry Clifton as its protagonist, and it stops just before the outbreak of the Second World War. And I say stops because it is part of a 5-part saga, this epic tale. So would you like to tell us a little bit more about the plot for those who've not read the book?
Well, it's a story, as you say, of a boy called Harry Clifton, who's born in the back streets of Bristol to a docker's family. And they assume he's going to be a docker as well. But at the age of 7, it's discovered he has this remarkable talent that he can sing. And that changes his whole life. And so you see him go from being a docker's son through to winning a scholarship to Oxford. But then war is declared, and he has to decide, will I go to war against Germany, or will I stay at Oxford? And that's book 1 of 5 books called The Clifton Chronicles. And book 1 is called Only Time Will Tell.
So what kind of grueling schedule did you follow? Because the book is written so effortlessly and it's such a sheer delight to read. Was it as easy to write?
I think that's where you see the hard work. I rise at 5:30 in the morning. I write between 6 o'clock and 8. I take a 2-hour break and write between 10 and 12. I take a 2-hour break, write between 2 and 4. Take a 2-hour break, write between 6 and 8. Go to bed about 9:30, 10, up again at 5:30. And that's the first draft. That takes about 50 days. And then I will rewrite about 15 or 16 times, so that when you say, and it's very kind of you to say, it appears effortless and it flows so easily. That is damned hard work, nothing else. If you're going to write a novel, you can't knock it off in a weekend. This book probably took 1,000 hours.
Wow. And would you believe that he writes with a pen, with an ink-nibbed pen?
Yes, I still write longhand. This machinery I can't understand, I can't turn it on, I can't work out where the letters are, and I don't want to. I actually enjoy handwriting.
That's because Jeffrey told me earlier that it helps him think forward. Yes?
Well, one of the joys of handwriting, if you take handwriting as such, and it's the difference between that horrible machine you've got, is if I write a sentence, the man walked into the room. I've had that amount of time to think about the next sentence. I'm not rushed into it. So I can say, and when he saw her, and that wasn't even in my mind when I wrote the sentence, and when he saw her. And when he saw her, he remembered that they'd met once before. Each sentence comes because you have the time to move into the next sentence.
And you can also see the drama in your head unfold.
I hope so. I hope so, because so I don't want one of those horrible machines.
Well, you're talking to a generation of people who only work on
absolutely.
that now. Yeah.
Oh, I understand that.
So during these breaks, I read somewhere you feed your fish. That's a very relaxing activity.
I go for long walks and like to think about either the last chapter or where the book is going. I want to do anything with people who can't talk to me. Fish can't talk to me. I don't want to see my wife, I don't want to see my children, I don't want to see my friends, I don't want the phone to ring. I feed the fish, their little mouths open, and they eat it up and they don't talk to me. And so that's very relaxing.
You have said, as part of your advice to aspiring writers, that don't show your writing, your initial manuscripts to anyone close to you, to your spouse particularly.
Never your spouse.
Why is that?
Wives and husbands are human beings. If they give you something, are you going to say, it's so bad, it's embarrassing? I don't know how to tell you how embarrassing it is, and I hope you never show it to a publisher. If you're going to write a book and want to a disinterested, honest opinion, you should give it to someone you've never met before.
Or
You
will
should
never
give it
meet
to-
again.
And will never meet again. And ask them to give you a written report, not a spoken report. Then you have the chance of finding out just how good or bad your book is.
Every book is like an absolutely new project, a new baby. What have you enjoyed most about writing Only Time Will Tell?
Well, the challenge, of course, with 5 books, spread over a period from 1920 to 2020, 5 different books, the first one going from 1920 to 1940, is that if I don't get the first one right, if it hasn't got everything I'm capable of doing in there, no one's going to buy book 2, 3, 4, or 5. So the amount of focus, the amount of energy, the amount of determination went into book 1 is, I've probably never worked harder on a book in my life.
You never have a fear of that, Jeffrey, that people won't read your books, because you've been on the bestsellers list from, what, 35 years now?
You say that, but the truth is the public are very discerning. If you give them a bad book, they'll buy the next one because they've been loyal. But after a time, they'll say, I can tell you authors who go down and down and down after they've had bestsellers. You've got to deliver every single time.
Do you think luck also plays a part?
No, that's a big Indian thing. There's no such thing as luck. Damned hard work and achievement and getting it done. Yes, you could get 5% luck. I remember, I'll give you an example of this. There was a program in England called This Is Your Life, which of course if you went on to it, in the days when there were only 3 television programs, if you got onto This Is Your Life, you became famous overnight. And I was doing a midnight show with a cabinet minister called Barbara Castle, a Labour minister, in Newcastle, which must have been watched by 3 men and a dog. But the dog worked for This Is Your Life. And I was on 6 weeks later because they'd seen me at midnight on this show. So I always say to young aspiring people, I might say to you, that was luck. Luck that Eamon Andrews saw me on that show. No, it wasn't luck. It was hard work. I was on a show at midnight. There is no substitute for hard. Put luck aside and get on with it.
All right. More such words of wisdom from Lord Jeffrey Archer. He's also told us that he's going to predict who's going to win the World Cup. So stay tuned. After a short break, you're watching Off the Record with best-selling writer Lord Jeffrey Archer.